No. What happens if you fuck with it? They'll start yelling at you.
Probably. Only in LA. So this is going to be the first part in a several part series. I have no idea how many or how long of a span it's going to be over, of converting to port injection on a Ford 200 with a vintage inlines head, the VI head, which really isn't available unless you can come across one. I happen to come across one, and I snatched it up, and I decided that if I'm going to put this head on, well, actually I'm going to build a whole new motor, but if I'm going to use this head, I'm going to do port injection. And if you follow all the videos over all this time, I've gone from a Sniper 1100 to a 2300 on a two-barrel log head. Now we're going to go port injection. So a lot of things are going to change to do this conversion. Oh, I love getting interrupted. Anyways, one of the first things that we're going to be doing is I'm going to take the in-tank, regulated in-tank fuel pump and stock tank out. For port injection, it's better to not deadhead the way that it is right now with the Sniper. So this is just step one in the process. So I'm going to a return style setup. I'm going to go with the Aeromotive pump. You can see it's got the level, sending level built into it. It's got the return and outlet built into it into the stock locations, but it has the pump accessible from the top. This comes fully assembled with a 200 liter per hour pump, which is perfect for this. It's actually a little bit smaller than what's in there. For this motor, I certainly don't need more than 200 liters an hour. It's going to be a relatively small build. We're not going for horsepower, we're going for efficiency here. So this is the very first thing that I'm doing is I'm going to be putting in a return style tank and pump. I will install this and probably run it with the Sniper right now just because I can get this done and out of the way. I've already ordered the tank. I'm going to have to install a return line. Anyways, that's going to kind of be phase one, and we'll do a video on putting the tank in and fuel line and stuff. All right, so Holley has everything that I need except for the throttle cable and the bracket. That I'll get from Locar, probably Summit. Here's all the parts that we need to do port injection, except for the fuel rail. The fuel rail, Jeff's going to fabricate that when he machines the head. So I'm not going to worry about that right now. I just need to buy the injectors for it. But this is all the rest of the hardware and components. We'll start with the ECU. We're going to be going with the HP ECU. This is the more expensive ECU, but it's a OEM style. I mean, this is OEM quality right here. It's potted, it's ruggedized. The Terminator is not that way. It's a little bit more consumer than that. This is a little bit more, this is more on the professional side. I will be going with the NTK oxygen sensor. It's more robust. It's a better O2 sensor than the Bosch. We're going kind of premium on this whole thing. This is about $1,000 upsell from the Terminator, but I want to do this once. I don't want to do it twice. You know, buy once, cry once, right? So we need to get that. Actually, I think I can take this air temperature sensor that's up here. I can take this off. I actually discovered that the kit does come with an air temperature sensor. So we will need that to complete this, an air temperature sensor. It's not built into the throttle body. Let's go over the throttle body components next. The EFI throttle body intake elbow. This converts a 4150 or a standard 4-barrel base to an LS style throttle body, a 4-bolt, what's called a 4-bolt throttle body. Okay. I need a much smaller throttle body than what you would typically run on this because it's designed for 350, 400 cubic inches and larger, 1000 CFM throttle body. We don't need that. We don't want a 1000 CFM throttle body on this motor. That's not going to work well. we need about 75 millimeters, which is going to take us to about, I think, 700 CFM, which is still a little bit large, but it's appropriate for this motor. It'll be okay. The 75 millimeter throttle body is an OEM throttle body. Holley doesn't make an aftermarket one. We have to go with an OEM one. Let me show you that real quick. So this is a new old stock 3-bolt 75 millimeter throttle body. This will work perfectly for us. We can adapt this to that elbow that I just showed you, the 4-bolt elbow. Let me flip through these real quick so you can see what it looks like. This is just an OEM. It's got the IAC and the TPS built into it already, or the sensors come with it. You know, they're standard GM sensors, so that's great. See them right there. So this will work perfectly for this build. Let me show you the adapter plate. So you remember, I said this is a 4-bolt, right? So this adapts us to the head, to the adapter plate that's going to be on the head already for 4150. We scroll up here. This adapter plate right here will take us from a 4-bolt intake, right? 4-bolt intake, that's what we're going to a 3-bolt throttle body, 75 millimeter throttle body. So it's specifically for that throttle body. So that's great. It's so amazing that Holley happens to make this. This will even get a little bit more slick now. So now you can see how we get the throttle body to the plate to the elbow that's down here. Okay, and the elbow into the head. So now we've got a complete air throttle valve circuit. More slick that kind of goes with this is the map sensor. We can use an LS3 style map sensor. This will actually bolt into the back of that elbow. There's a provision for it. So I don't even need to use a separate map sensor. I can put this on there, and they make an adapter plug for it to go from the LS3 style to a standard map that will plug into the HPEFI. So that's really neat. We're going to need a fuel pressure regulator. I haven't decided whether I'm going to buy the Holley one or the Aeromotive one, but we do need a fuel pressure regulator because it doesn't have one built in like a Sniper does, obviously. You don't really want that anyway. This is better. We'll get that plumbed in on one side of the fuel rail. One side of the fuel rail is going to have the fuel pressure coming into it. It's going to go across the fuel rail. It's going to go into the regulator, and it's going to go out the return. So that's how you always want to do port injection. You always regulate out the opposite side of the fuel rail. We're going with 19 pound per hour injectors. These are 19 pound per hour at 43 PSI. I'm going to run the system at 60, which is going to give me about 22 pounds per hour per injector. That's going to be perfect for this engine. I can take this off of here, actually. I may leave it on just in case. I need to confirm, but the picture shows that it comes with an air temperature sensor, so I assume it does come with it. Coolant temp sensor is going to stay the same as the Sniper, so I'm not even going to worry about that part. Don't need it. I put these on here. They charge a lot for it. I think these are a standard style sensor. I'm going to try and find an OEM one that's not $150 a piece. And the Hyperspark ignition adapter. So this plugs into the Hyperspark distributor, which will adapt it to the HPEFI harness. It says it's for Terminator X, but it works with the HP as well, as far as I know. My research says. So those are the basic parts for converting to port injection. It's really not all that complicated. A little bit more about this, the HPFI harness. Let's pull up a picture of it here. This is a universal kit. So that means that I'm going to have to terminate all this stuff, which is fine. It's an inline 6. There isn't an existing pre-made harness out there that's going to work. There's a whole bunch of them out there for V8s and stuff. Of course, nobody does this on an i6, or it's pretty rare, so I'm going to have to make all my own connectors. You can see it does come with probably a 1-bar map right here, which I only need 1 bar, but that 2.5 that plugs into the back of the elbow will work. So I probably won't need to use this. Comes with the CTS. I'll probably just use the good one, the Delphi one that I've got. Air temperature sensor, all the connectors, main power harness, injectors. These are for the injectors. I'm going to have to make those. You'll notice looking at this kit, it does not come with the 3.5-inch screen like the Terminator and the Sniper do. You have to buy that separately, but what I'm going to do is just take use the one for my sniper. It's the same screen. It just needs to be flashed to a different firmware. So there is a firmware available for it on Holley's website. I'll simply flash that up. Also, a little bit of research has told me that the CAN bus adapter on here is just a 2-wire, just the CAN bus signal. And you'll know if you have a sniper or a Terminator that there's 4 wires, because 2 of them are power and 2 of them are CAN high-low signal. They do make an adapter harness for that, and that is here. CAN adapter power harness, so this will adapt it to the HP right here, to the screen right there. I'm not sure why this is older style on the HP. Probably because it was not designed around having a 3.5-inch screen on it all the time, where it needed to source power. So obviously you have to source power from somewhere else, some ignition power from somewhere else for this. I can easily do that. Not a problem. And so this will adapt my sniper screen. I'm not going to buy another one because they charge like $300 for them, and it's the same freaking screen. It just, one's silk screen printed on it, sniper, the other one's Terminator, and the other one's like Holley EFI. I'll just use the sniper screen and flash up the firmware. That'll make it work. So anyways, that's just a kind of a quick one on the research that I've done on doing port injection on a Ford 200. There's a little bit of research involved because, it's not, it'll work, but it's not like a V8 where you just, there's all these components out there and you can just, you buy whatever you want, and, 1,000 CFM throttle body is fine for most V8 stuff. I had to do a little bit of research, especially around adapting from a 4-bolt to a 3-bolt, but I think we got it figured out pretty well. So this is going to be expensive. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. But I think it's this is going to be a cool one, and I think nobody's ever done it before with an HP, as far as I know. It's been done. There have been a couple of folks that have done port injection before, but I don't think quite the way that I'm going to do it with the most modern EFI components that are out there. Well, that was pretty quick. We're only missing 2 things, I think, which they're 2 very big things. One of them is the throttle body elbow. That's on back order until, I think, almost June. We'll see if they get it sooner than that. Some it actually has them in stock, but I got a discount on this, so I really kind of didn't want to, I figured I could just wait because it's going to be that long before we get the new motor anyways. Let's go over what we got here real quick. We did go over the list, but, we'll go over this too. This actually came from Motion Raceworks. This did not come from Holley. Made in the USA. I like that. This is a bracket that will hold the throttle cable to the elbow when we get it. I showed it a little bit earlier what the elbow is. So that's nice. This is a map sensor that plugs into the elbow as well. It's a 2.5 bar map. Not that I'm going to be running boost, but I like it because it integrates in. It's one less thing I got to mount. This just bolts right onto the back of the elbow, so that's nice. This is one of the 2 pressure transducers, the same one for oil and fuel. You can use it. These are made by SSI Technologies, by the way, even though Holley supplies it, but they're just more expensive. But this is a quality sensor. So anyways, we got that. So we'll know our oil and fuel pressure on the screen, which is real nice. This here is the factory US-made AC Delco throttle body. This is 440 CFM. I believe it's 75 millimeters. So we will adapt this. This is a smaller throttle body. Let me get it open here. There she is. It is, again, also made in USA, which is nice. I don't know about the IAC or the TPS. Maybe Hecho in Mexico, perhaps. I'll have to look at it. But anyways, it's just a stepper-style IAC and just the standard LS-style TPS. This is the 3-inch, I believe it's 3-inch diameter right here. Throttle, what do you call it? Where the cable comes over the top here. It's almost like a shiv. Anyways, so that's nice. So this is a 3-bolt. I think I talked about that before. Let's set that aside for a second. We'll show you the adapter plate. That will adapt to this adapter plate. This goes to a standard LS1 style 4-bolt intake. So the intake elbow and most of the stuff you find on Summit or Holley, you know, it's all 4-bolt. This adapts the 3-bolt to it. The 3-bolt, I went with that because it's the 75 millimeter instead of 92 or 100, which would have just been too big. This is the perfect size, so this just bolts right up here, as you can see. So that lines up nice. That's perfect. It's got an O-ring seal on it. This little gap right here, that's for the IAC. That's so the air bypasses behind the throttle plate. It's right through there. So that's nifty. Let me see, what else did we get? Oh, we have the injectors. Show those real quick. Those are going to get shipped up to Jeff so he can do the machine work and set up for the injectors and the fuel rail. So I bought a set of 8, so I got 2 spares. It was just cost effective to do that. So anyways, these are the 19 pound per hour injectors. There's a few other doodads in here. The regulator came with a pressure gauge. I don't think I'll end up using that because I'll probably hook up one of the transducers to the regulator. This is the Holley regulator. I actually haven't even opened this yet. Let's take a look at it. Here we are. This is it. You can use either side here on the left or the right for inlet or outlet, and the return comes out the bottom. In our case, we're going to block one of these. You can have the fuel rail pressure on one side of the fuel rail. The other side of the fuel rail will go into this and out to the return. We will be doing a phase 1 install where this gets installed with the new Aeromotive tank, which is coming. Should be here in the next week or so. And we will run this return style with the new tank with the Sniper. I want to do that as an experiment because one of the things that I've noticed about the Sniper with the deadheaded pressure regulated in the tank, the fuel pressure is about 65 psi, 70, sometimes almost 70 when it's cold, and about 55 psi when it's warm. So it's not staying consistent, which doesn't really matter because the tune kind of makes up for it. However, it is kind of an issue because the tune, depending on, you know, if you get it real hot or if you just drive it for a short amount of time, but while it's still in learn mode, it is actually learning about 15% difference in fuel, and it's kind of doing that back and forth. That's because the fuel pressure is inconsistent. So that's an issue with those in-tank regulated. You know, it's easy to install, and I like it. It works great. It really does. You know, if you set it and forget it, you'd never know the difference, but it's one of those things I noticed. And so anyways, we'll run the return style. This is your boost reference right here. We're not going to need that. You can hook this to manifold vacuum. It will lower the fuel pressure a little bit at idle or high vacuum. I probably won't hook that up though. No real need to. This is the adapter for this map. This map sensor that we showed has a different connector on it. It goes from an LS1 to an LS3. This is an LS1 style, I believe. I could be wrong. I have 50-50 shot at that. But anyways, it adapts it to the standard three plug weather pack connector, or 3-pin weather pack connector. It adapts that to the MetriPack, which is what this is, a MetriPack connector. So I could have made that myself, but they sell it. It's just easier just to buy it. So anyways, there's some other, you know, these are just for the fuel pressure regulator, the adapters that I needed and stuff. I actually have a lot of this stuff in stock, but I try to keep my stock up of stuff, so I bought them. So anyways, that's just the parts real quick. So, you know, more to come. We're waiting for the ECU, harness, elbow, and fuel tank. And Jeff's going to get to doing the machine work on the head here real soon. So it's going to come along.